So hello fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728 and Hasan Minhaj and the Patriot Act. They've been cancelled. I got this, for me, horrible news yesterday watching a guy, I guess, complaining about Hasan and the point of view that he takes with respect to India. And then I got some more horrible news, which was that people were calling out the workplace of the set, or I guess the cast, I don't know what the word is, for a horrible work environment. And then I realized that it was women. Honestly, this feels really bad. This feels almost as bad as when I realized that the guy from House of Cards, that he was accused of, propositioning underage, a gay guy, and then, more stuff came out. Honestly, I can totally relate to all the people who were called out for bad stuff, and then people started making apologies for them and saying it wasn't so and it's not true. And I really totally understand, because it really hurt, because I want to see more of Patriot Act. I want to see more of Hasan. I want him to be free and clear to do whatever. And, when I was listening to what this guy was saying, I guess it's an Indian guy, a pro-Indian guy, who was upset with Hasan for his take on Modi, which is the president or the leader of India. And the guy also made another video about Trevor Noah and his position on Modi, the president, I think it's the president or the Prime Minister of India. Either one, it's the leader. Anyway, now that I went and looked at the tweets, I was coming up with this whole thing where, maybe this is like a Steve Jobs situation where, Steve Jobs, even the Steve Jobs situation is really awful, to be honest. I mean, to go away on a little detour, I have to give Steve Jobs some credit for getting somebody to do an autobiography of him that really showed the truth about him in terms of the positives and the negatives. And there were a lot of negatives, so I don't even know. But with respect to Hasan and the producers, I guess it's unequivocal. It's not light stuff. Thankfully, he is not accused of a crime, but it's heavy. I mean, I know that I can exaggerate in certain situations. So one of the tweets with respect to the work environment there, they didn't pretty much say that Hasan is the guy who did it, but he was you didn't really have to read between the lines. They said, look at your heroes of representation and ask them what they do when they have power. And Hasan is the face of that show, so that they're talking about Hasan. And these are Indian women, So and that's the thing. It's not Indian men, it's not a mix. It's Indian women, pretty much Indian women who are saying this. Like at least 3 of them. And one of them is basically saying that, I've encountered a lot in this industry, and I've never worked at a place that was like Patriot Act. That is a dagger to my gut, honestly. I just honestly do not want to hear anything bad about Hasan. I know that he has his faults. He's mentioned stories in the past where he stole the exam, the answer sheet, and he was selling it to people in his class. And his father came to defend him at the school and basically said, Hasan is too much of a weak kid to ever be involved in anything like that. He has no guts. And I was like, oh boy, Hasan, that's the story. And then that is a story of your dad's, what he thinks of you. Ugh. Yeah, I probably need to stop saying Hasan. Hasan Minhaj. But yeah, Hasan. I don't think, I have to practice saying Hasan. It's like Tim Chantarang Su, like Timothy De La Ghetto. Yeah, after practicing both their names. But and then Hasan has a daughter, that he talks about her, and he wants her to be strong. And I don't want to say the words, I don't know how to feel, but I don't know how to feel. I mean, clearly, and people are saying that the mainstream media is not following up on this. Hasan is not like John Oliver, for the simple reason that, number one, he is not white, he's not Caucasian. That's a big one. Two, because he's not like Jon Stewart right now, because he's not on TV. He's on Netflix, and I guess maybe that makes a difference, because Ellen is on TV, and that seemed to make a difference. Of course, Ellen has been there forever, but one of the things that I was going to refer to before I went and read the tweets, and everything kind of solidified for me, and it wasn't something that I could just dismiss and say, well, these women need to man up or something like that, was that I hate the fact that it's minorities that most often get called out for stuff. And by minorities, I mean, there's Bill Cosby. Yes, he did some horrible stuff to a lot of people. And there is Weinstein. Yes, he did some horrible stuff to a lot of people. But that's a black guy, and that's a Jewish guy. And where are all the, millions of straight white guys out there that end up having to pay for what they've done, for example, to make amends? I mean, let's look at shootings of black guys or minorities. There was the shooting of that guy in his apartment by the female police officer. There was the Walter Scott shooting, where the guy was shot in the back after he's running away. He's like 20 feet away from the guy, and that's caught on camera. There's the one where the guy got shot in the car with his kids and his girlfriend, and his girlfriend had it on Facebook Live. I mean, when you look at these examples of these things, that guy who was shot with his girlfriend and his kids in the car, he was shot by a Hispanic guy. That's who went on trial, a Hispanic police officer. The one where the guy got shot in the guy got shot in his apartment, that was a female, that was a lady. And what I mean by it is, there are thousands of police shootings, well, 1,000 something. I'm going too far in this thing, but what I mean to say at the end of the day is that usually it's a minority or a woman who is called to task for something that they've done. If you go looking, it's really hard a lot of times to find someone like a Bill Cosby that's not a minority. The Walter Scott thing, that's a straight white guy who nobody was going to arrest until the video came out. And then after the video came out, he had 2 hung juries. He was finally convicted of a federal crime, and now he's trying to overturn that. The lady, cop who shot the guy in his house, she got convicted straight off. No hung jury, convicted. She's trying to overturn that, but, Bill Cosby, convicted. Weinstein, convicted. Michael Jackson wasn't convicted, but he got his whole, everything dragged through the mud. My point is, there are more, anyway, it's just sad to see that Hasan went through this. And by sad, I don't mean to say that he didn't do anything. Clearly, if 3 people are corroborating that this was one of the worst places that they've ever worked, and they all have something in common, that they're Indian females, there's something to it. It just remains to be seen. Netflix didn't want to comment. Hasan didn't want to comment. That doesn't really look very good, because in worst case scenario, people come out and deny stuff. So when you're not even gonna come out and actually try to make a denial, then that really doesn't look good at all. And even one person's tweet was that the episode that Hasan put out, where he was calling on the Asian community to reassess its stance of black people with respect to black people, that seemed so powerful. People were like, that one person said that reeked of hypocrisy, and this was an Indian woman, or a woman of East Indian heritage. And I was like, oh my God, Hasan, oh my God. One of the positive things that we could take from this, though, is that I remember that Jon Stewart, I guess he was in a similar situation. And in his day, there wasn't as much activity on Twitter and social media, and people didn't have as much access to say their piece. So when he was called out for only having a writing room that was full of white males, and then he made the joke recently when he was on the Breakfast Club that he went back to his writing room and he talked to John and Tom and Frank and Bill and Joe and everybody else, and then he was like, oh, that's what they're talking about. And then somebody called him out again with respect to how he was maybe portraying or talking about a black person in one of his pieces. And then he was like, oh yeah, maybe I should ooh. So now, listening to Jon Stewart on the Breakfast Club and in other forums, it's like, whoa. Honestly, it's like, whoa. So this might just be, the same thing that Hasan has to go through on his own. And I know, from experience, that people that you think should be enlightened, we are not. I remember what I was thinking with respect to women, and the pressure that women would face with respect to being approached by men, and just what women have to go through. And I still honestly kind of struggle to find an equilibrium with respect to that. I think there are obviously things that women talk about that are true, and then there are other things that women might not talk about that are also true, So anyway, this is kind of long, but yeah, Hasan and all the women who are, complaining, more than likely, rightfully so. Wow. Anyway, guys, be nice to each other. And that's it for me. Peace.